What's up, guys? Carolina Jackpot coming at you. Guys, I'd like to take a look at 5 games that are coming up this weekend that I think could potentially be upsets in the making and could potentially make you a little bit of cash on the money line if you bet these underdogs straight up. Let's get into it, shall we? First one I'd like to talk about is Maryland. The Terps are catching 3.5 points at home on Friday night against the number 5 ranked Iowa Hawkeyes. Tua Tagovailoa's brother, Talia, is having a really good season at Maryland. 10 touchdowns so far this year. Only 1 interception, 1,340 yards. The Terps are 4-0 for the first time in a long time. In fact, this is probably going to be the biggest game in College Park since Maryland has joined the Big Ten. Looking really good this year. That prime time short home underdog has been cashing a lot of tickets for people this year. And I think that this one could potentially be a nice play for someone. Iowa has had a good season so far. They're 2-0 in Big Ten play. They also have wins over Kent State and Colorado State. I didn't really look impressive in that Colorado State game this past weekend. Maybe they were looking ahead to the game against Maryland on the short week. Not really sure about that one. But their quarterback play from Spencer Petras has been just average. I mean, it's just been okay. They had to have a couple of pick sixes in the game against Indiana the first week of the season to make that margin look a little bit wider than what it really was. And to me, this is just not, they just don't look like a number 5 team in the country to me. Maybe they look like a fringe top 10 team, but I don't know that they have all the pieces, and I don't think they're explosive enough offensively to be able to punch back with a team that's going to punch them in the mouth early and often, and that's what I think you're going to get from Maryland. And, oh, by the way, Maryland also has a pretty good defense, too. They're only giving up about 12 points a game this year. Consider taking the Terps on the money line on Friday night. We have the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets on Saturday. At home, they are catching 3.5 points against the Pitt Panthers. Georgia Tech's off of a big 45-22 upset win at home over UNC. Actually, it wasn't at home. It was about a mile down the road in the Mercedes-Benz Dome. They forced 3 fumbles on North Carolina and held UNC to only 368 yards of total offense. The Georgia Tech defense is quietly becoming one of the better units in the ACC. They have their dual threat quarterback Jeff Sims back, who dealt with an injury in the first game of the season. Pitt comes in 3-1, but their wins outside of the 41-34 victory over Tennessee have been over some pretty weak competition in the form of New Hampshire and UMass. There's also a little bit of extra added motivation here from last year's game, which also was in Atlanta. Georgia Tech lost to Pitt, and it was a close game. There was some bad officiating there in the eyes of the Georgia Tech faithful and the Georgia Tech coaching staff and players especially. If you'll remember that one, Coach Jeff Collins was really visibly upset at the end of the game. He didn't refuse to shake hands with the Pittsburgh coach Pat Narduzzi, but you could tell he didn't really want to do it. I think Georgia Tech's going to come into this game fired up. They had a good showing on the road 2 weeks ago against Clemson. They could have won that game also, but the 45-22 win over UNC, I think it's going to light a fire under them, and I think that Georgia Tech is quietly becoming a contender in the Coastal Division, and I like them to pull the outright upset at home against the Pitt Panthers. We have a non-Power 5 versus Power 5 Conference USA versus Big Ten matchup at noon on Saturday in Champaign, Illinois. We got Charlotte catching 11 points on the road against the Illinois Fighting Illini. Charlotte comes into this game with a record of 3-1. Quarterback Chris Reynolds seems like he's been there forever. 9 touchdowns this year, only 2 interceptions, thrown for 924 yards. They have also beaten a Power 5 team this year in the Duke Blue Devils, the first game of the season. You got Illinois, who's dealing with injuries all over their offense. They played their second-string quarterback a lot this year. Looks like they do have their first-string quarterback back in action now. They lost a game last Saturday against Purdue, which both teams were largely unimpressive. They've been missing their running back, Mike Epstein, for most of the season, and running back Chase Brown didn't play last week and probably won't play this week either. This game, as I said, it's at noon, which is kind of a sleepy spot for anybody. Illinois has a matchup in the Big Ten versus Wisconsin looming in the horizon, which also could play a factor in just downplaying this game a little bit and just being a little bit disinterested. We've already seen Illinois lose to one non-Power 5 team at home this year in the UTSA Roadrunners. Now, I don't think Charlotte is as good as UTSA, but Charlotte is a team that can spread the field out. They can kind of dictate the tempo. Probably going to score a lot of points, forcing Illinois to score a lot of points as well. And I'm not sure that Illinois has the talent nor the skill offensively to combat that if Charlotte is indeed able to click on all cylinders. It might be a bit of a long shot, but I'd consider looking at the Charlotte 49ers on the money line in this one. Another Conference USA versus Big Ten matchup. We have the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers going on the road, taking on Michigan State, and Western Kentucky is catching 10.5 points. Michigan State, 4-0 this year, is a surprise undefeated team. But I want you to look at, they are giving up an average of 263 yards a game through the air to their opponents. Bailey Zapp, the quarterback for Western Kentucky, through only 3 games this year, has thrown for 1,200 yards. That is huge. Michigan State coming off of a game against Nebraska where they were favored by about a touchdown, but they got pushed by Nebraska. They won that game, but in overtime, 23-20. They have a game coming up on the road against Big Ten foe Rutgers, another team who's having a surprisingly good year. So this could prove to be a bit of a trap game situation. Western Kentucky is coming off of a 33-31 loss at home to Indiana, in which they really pushed the Hoosiers, but it just seemed like they were always just one step behind the entire game. Michigan State, this is a team, they're built of a lot of transfers, a lot of young players. Mel Tucker's got them playing pretty well, but I just don't know. They're 4-0 right now, and sometimes when you're undefeated, you don't expect to be. You really don't know how to act. And Western Kentucky is a team that can come in and put some points up on the scoreboard. This may be a long shot, but for some reason, I like the Hilltoppers to cover this spread and pull a potential upset. So those are my best bets on the money line, guys, for Week 5 of the college football season. Take a look at the big slate of games we got going on this weekend, and drop a comment down in the comment box below. Tell me if you see something that catches your eye, and share it with the rest of the group. See where we might be able to make some money. I may be overlooking something. Who knows? I'm far from an expert. Just look at the record on my picks. It'll tell you that. I'll see y'all later. If you like the content that you saw here tonight, make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and I will see y'all later. Hit that thumbs up for me. Appreciate it. Peace, and I'm out. And go Gamecocks. Woo!